Welcome and thank you for joining us on The Factor Uncensored. Houston's Third Ward has become a major attraction for nightlife in the past few years. If you visit the area along with certain stretches of Emancipation, you'll see tons of traffic, headache, and maybe even gunfire. While it may be great for those businesses in the area, some residents are not happy at all. So Sharon, you have called Riverside home for the last 17 years. How has it changed recently?
It's changed dramatically. Honestly, we're in a hostile takeover environment.
And explain that to the viewer who may not live in that area.
Well, it is the wild, wild west, where those who have lived in the community for years and years and been law-abiding citizens are now essentially had their neighborhood taken over without any recourse. So a greater part of the stretch of Emancipation is taken over by foot traffic, by automobile traffic, wherein emergency medical vehicles cannot get through, fire department cannot get through. HPD apparently is having challenges managing it, and all one has to do is to go on and do a little social media search, and we'll see how grave the situation has become. It's like in any situation, when you're in wartime, it's triage situation that we're experiencing here in our Third Ward Riverside community. And many say, well, it's Third Ward, get over it. You should be accustomed to it. No, we are not accustomed to it. We are not accepting it, and it's unacceptable. It is dangerous.
Now, we're talking about a corridor where there are a bunch of nightclubs,
yes.
Businesses there. Has that always been there? What has changed? What's made it worse over the last few years?
Yes, for those that have been homeowners and residents of the community, they will clearly admit bars have always been a part of the community, but the persons participating in the bars, going to the bars, has changed dramatically. Whereas guys would go to work, they'd come out, they'd have a drink, and you know what they do? They take themselves home. Well, that's no longer the case. So what is happening is this stretch of blocks is attracting those from all over, not only the city, but those who are coming to the city and not treating it as a neighborhood. So when you have hundreds of people who have blocked streets, where police cannot manage them, where you have individuals taking out 6-foot folding tables and selling liquor openly without permits, where you have food truck setups without permits, when you have parking taking over streets, it's a problem. In fact, there are those who are going on to Amazon and purchasing barricades and blocking off streets. That's unacceptable. Dare say, if there's a medical emergency or a fire, you are going to likely die. There is no way to get to you between Thursday and Sunday in the evening, because this goes on from early evening until 2 in the morning.
Now, this is no secret what's going on in Riverside.
It is not a secret.
We've had the mayor in your area just over a month ago with police. So why isn't anything being done if you have the city leader who is in your neighborhood and he sees what's going on, or did he not see it that night?
I don't know what the mayor saw. So what we would like to see is enforcement, and we understand that with streamlining of city services, that is challenging, but it is not impossible. If you campaign and talk about how important the city of Houston is to you and how important quality of life is to our residents and our homeowners, then you got to do the work.
Aside from the congestion, tell us how scary it is with the gunshots.
My goodness.
And
It is, let me start by saying this. There are some nightlife owners that are good neighbors. Mm-hmm. There are some that are, because we have been told, oh, you just don't want, well, it is a neighborhood, and it would be nice if folks treated it as a neighborhood, but folks don't treat it do not treat it as if it is a neighborhood. So those who are homeowners and or residents, get up. There's trash everywhere. There are people throwing up in your neighborhood. There are people half clothed because they are drunk or out of their minds or on some other substances. There are food trucks that erect commercial speakers, and they are blaring till 2 and 3 in the morning.
At the end of the day, do you guys feel totally powerless and unheard by city leaders, those who could make a difference, those who could put in a call to HPD?
A call to HPD?
Yeah.
Mr. Kerry, we're at war. We're at war. Are we hopeless? We're waiting on the cavalry, and we have not seen it.
There you have it. What can be done to bring more of a balance to that area? We continue the conversation with local leaders after the break. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We just heard a longtime resident in 3rd Ward. She says living there is like living in a hostile takeover environment due to all of the trash and noise complaints that come with the nightlife attractions in the area. The bars, officials with Houston Police Department say they're tackling the issue with a task force called Crime Protection Team Club Unit. Joining us to talk about it tonight, Houston City Council member Dr. Carolyn Shabazz and Lieutenant Aston Johnson Hall with Harris County Precinct 7 Constable's Office. Glad to have you here both on The Factor Uncensored. Lieutenant, you work that area. You know what's going on there. Do you have sympathy and realize what the residents are going through?
Yeah, tremendous sympathy. I'm sorry to hear that you feel like there's no hope, that they are under war, under siege, but with the police departments, we're working more collaborative efforts together. We have plans to increase traffic enforcement, traffic control in that area, while supporting Houston Police Department with the nuisance calls. And Constable Phillips wants to dedicate more foot patrol officers in that area to slow down or mitigate any other crimes that stem from it.
Dr. Shabazz, your thoughts about this? You represent that area. You also live in that area. What is that like for you?
Well, I'm going to say, Isaiah, I like to get a party on. But now that we cannot risk the quality of life for our nightlife. And I think it's a terrible situation that the neighbors are dealing with. Actually, I got an email Sunday morning after church and found out that there was a slab party going on. So I immediately reached out to HPD, and they did respond. And then they said that they were going to collaborate with Precinct 7. And surely they did. I passed down there at the time that the party was going on, and there was a police officer stationed right there. But certainly—
Do you think there needs to be more than just one officer?
Absolutely.
They need like that task force, that fancy task force that they talk about. They need that out there.
Yeah, we absolutely need the task force. Certainly want to thank the mayor, John Whitmire, you know, for allowing this to take place, because it's just absolutely necessary. It's going to be a task force that should be deployed hopefully in about a month and a half. They're getting trained right now with DRT and crime suppression training, and so we're ready for them to hit the ground and deal with it. And we're also going to need to use Park Houston to deal with the parking, because people are blocking people's driveways and parking.
We're hearing they're actually putting up barricades on streets and then charging people, and these are not people from the community, not from the neighborhood, but they're putting up barricades and charging people to park on a street.
I think most of the people are not from the neighborhood, and certainly we're going to have to ask the police officers to kind of man those barriers. We're going to also have to perhaps even get the neighbors to park in front of their homes, or things that we're going to have to think of some things that are going to help people to not have this activity going on. I wouldn't mind the barricades, because it would keep the people from actually going into the neighborhoods, but they need to be manned by the police force and not by the people that are coming into the neighborhood.
What's the fear of zoning in Houston?
Now, that's a very good question.
Where
it's just something
you would say, the government would say, look, no businesses or no non-residential
commercial
properties in this area. This area is for families.
That is certainly a question that has always come up, but no one has taken it to the voters for us to be able to enact that. Certainly it's kind of difficult at this point to stop people who are already there, but certainly we could look at trying to stop people from coming into the area if it were zoned for residential only.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here and we'll come back and talk about this issue that many people are very upset about in Houston's 3rd Ward, Riverside Terrace, whatever you want to call it. It's a nightmare for those who call it home. We'll be back in just a moment. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We continue our discussion about the complaints from some residents in the 3rd Ward area. Some say all of the visitors that come to the area to patronize businesses at night are destroying their quality of life. Our guests are back here on The Factor Uncensored to continue this conversation. Lieutenant, one of the things that Sharon Brooks said in her earlier interview, there are the tools currently in place. Lots of laws on the books when it comes to parking, loitering, but they're not being used. Will you guys put those laws and ordinances that are currently on the books to use to keep the people from inundating this neighborhood and destroying their quality of life?
No, the answer is yes. What we need to do, what we have done, is dedicate officers just for that region, just for those 4 blocks, 5 blocks along Emancipation, and enforce the loud noise ordinances. The patrons that come by with the loud noise on the auxiliary vehicles, these commercial sound systems that cause a nuisance, the guys that sit in the intersection and block traffic. We don't want to over-police the area and go with a zero tolerance approach, but we do need to be more aggressive about the enforcement in that area.
Would you be opposed to zero tolerance in the area? I mean, this is someone's home, and they are miserable, according to them.
Yeah, well, I started out in jest, but this is a very serious issue. And what comes to my mind, an officer can give a citation, and certainly my office used council district service funds to purchase 10 noise meters so that when officers go out, they can already have that tool. But the problem I have found is that once they issue the citation, it has to go through the court system. And what I have advocated for is to have night court, so that most of these tickets are given out at night. But what happens, a police officer works at night, and then you expect him to be at court at 9 in the morning. And that may not happen. So some cases have actually been thrown out. And so we're going to have to keep doing that and make these fines such that they are not just the cost of doing business. It's going to have to hurt in order for them to realize that this is no joke and that the quality of life for the people in that particular area and all areas of District D in particular is sacred. And we certainly invite businesses to come. We want you to thrive, but you must be good neighbors. And then as owners of clubs, you're going to have to encourage your patrons that they should not engage in certain activities. But I know once people start drinking and partying, they really don't listen to that. But certainly if there is a task force that's going to be there that's going to enforce that, as well as people who could perhaps get DWIs and those kinds of things after they have drawn attention to themselves. It's a multifaceted approach that's going to be needed in order to do something about this. But I really feel it, and it really, really disturbs me. I get the texts, I get the calls, I get the Instagrams, I get everything, all times of night. And I respond, and I try to get the officers to respond. But then, of course, and people are tired of hearing we don't have enough resources. But that is why it's very important what the mayor has done in terms of strategically getting this task force to address this very serious issue.
All right, out of time, but we want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Still a lot of work to do in that community.